The Malice at the Palace. You can't talk about the craziest fights in NBA history without starting with the one that turned the league upside down, the Malice at the Palace. November 19th, 2004, Pacers versus Pistons. Game was already spicy, with playoff tension still fresh from the year before. Less than a minute left, Pacers up big, and Ron Artest fouls Ben Wallace on a layup. Ben wasn't having it. He shoved Artest so hard, he slid back like a bowling pin. Players started pushing. The crowd was on their feet, and it looked like the usual NBA scuffle. Then Artest, in the calmest chaos you've ever seen, goes and lays down on the scorer's table, hands behind his head like he's chilling on the beach. That's when some fan, thinking he was the main character, threw a cup of beer that splashed all over Artest's chest. And man, that was it. Artest jumped into the stands like he hit the X button in NBA Street Volume 2 and started swinging on the first dude he saw. Steven Jackson followed him, throwing hands with fans, and Jermaine O'Neal came sliding across the court and delivered a punch that would have made Mike Tyson proud. Fans were throwing chairs, drinks, punches, anything they could. Players were swinging back. Chaos everywhere. Security couldn't control it, and the announcers didn't even know what to say. It was the wildest scene in NBA history. The fallout? The NBA came down hard. Artest was suspended for the rest of the season. 86 games, the longest suspension in NBA history for an on-court incident. Jackson got 30 games, O'Neal 25, and the Pacers' season was cooked before it even started. David Stern used the fight to crack down on the league's image. Security got tighter, dress codes came in, and the NBA started moving away from the bad boy era for good. But real ones know this was bigger than just a fight. The Pacers were contenders, and this moment killed their championship hopes. The Pistons stayed in the mix, but for the Pacers, it was the start of the end. If you never watched the footage, do it. It's the moment you realize NBA players aren't just athletes, they're human. And sometimes you throw a beer, you get a brawl. The Malice at the Palace wasn't just the craziest fight in NBA history, it changed the league forever. When Shaq and Barkley threw hands. If you think NBA fights are rare, let's talk about when Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley actually squared up on the court. Two of the biggest personalities in NBA history throwing hands live on national TV. November 10th, 1999, Lakers versus Rockets. The tension was building all game, with Shaq dominating inside like usual, and Barkley never one to back down, getting under his skin with those sneaky elbows and tough rebound. Midway through the game, Shaq tries to post up, misses a shot, and feels Barkley hit him with an extra shove while fighting for the rebound. Shaq, already heated, throws the ball at Barkley's head. Barkley catches it, looks at Shaq like, "You really just did that?" And then, boom, he swings on Shaq, grabbing him, and the two giants tumble to the floor, swinging and wrestling like two bears fighting over honey. The bench is clear. Players are trying to hold back two of the biggest dudes in NBA history, and the crowd is going wild. For a moment, it looked like we were about to see a full WWE match break out. Security and coaches jumped in, separated them, and both Shaq and Barkley got ejected immediately. Later, the league hit them with fines and suspensions, but honestly, fans loved it. Two legends showing raw emotion in the middle of the game with zero fear of consequences. What made this fight even better was the aftermath. Years later, when Barkley and Shaq started working together on Inside the NBA, they laughed about it on live TV. Barkley would say, "Shaq's too big, man. I had to swing first," while Shaq would clown him for trying to wrestle instead of throwing a real punch. But in that moment, it wasn't jokes. It was pride, frustration, and two of the game's biggest stars refusing to back down. And that's why this fight is one of the craziest in NBA history. It was a reminder that even superstars can snap. And when they do, it makes for iconic moments the NBA low-key wishes would stay in the past, but fans will never forget. Draymond Green versus Jordan Poole. Teammates throw hands. Most NBA fights happen between opponents, but this was teammates throwing hands in practice, and the entire world found out. October 2022. The Golden Warriors were coming off another championship, and everything looked smooth on the outside. But behind the scenes, Draymond Green and Jordan Poole were clashing. Reports said Poole was getting cocky after getting paid. Draymond didn't like the energy, and tension was building every day. Then it happened. A leaked video dropped, and it broke the internet. Draymond walked up to Poole during practice. Poole pushed him back, and Draymond snapped, throwing a punch that dropped Poole instantly. It wasn't just a light shove or scuffle. Draymond swung with real power, connecting clean, and teammates rushed in to pull them apart. The NBA world was shook. Teammates fighting happens, but seeing it on video, seeing how hard Draymond hit Poole, different level. The Warriors tried to downplay it, calling it a family matter, but the damage was done. Draymond took a leave from the team, apologized, and Poole tried to play it off, but everyone could feel the tension all season. What made this crazier? The Warriors kept it pushing like nothing happened, but their chemistry was off. And later, Poole got traded to the Wizards, showing that some punches don't just hurt in the moment. They can change the course of a team. And Draymond, he's always been that player who walks the line between passion and chaos. But this moment showed what happens when that line gets crossed, even inside your own locker room. This wasn't just one of the craziest fights in NBA history. It was a reminder that the drama isn't just on the court. It's in the practices, the locker rooms, and the moments we're not supposed to see. But once we do, it's impossible to forget. Larry Bird versus Dr. J. Legends lose their cool. You want to talk about NBA legends throwing hands? Let's rewind to 1984 when Larry Bird and Julius Dr. J. Irving turned a regular season game into a heavyweight showdown. November 9, 1984, Celtic versus Sixers. Two powerhouse teams, two MVPs, and real tension. Bird had been cooking the Sixers all game, dropping buckets and talking trash like only Larry Legend could. Dr. J, known for being cool and composed, had enough. Midway through the third quarter, Bird scores again, and you can see him chirping at Dr. J, letting him know exactly how many points he's got on him. The next possession, Bird gets tangled with Dr. J, and it escalates fast. Dr. J snaps, grabs Bird by the neck, and starts swinging. Charles Barkley, a young Chuck, jumps in not to break it up, but to hold Bird while Dr. J throws punches. It was chaos. Benches clear. Players rush in. Refs trying to pull superstars apart while the Boston Garden crowd loses its mind. You have to understand Bird and Dr. J were icons, faces of the league. And to see them brawling in the middle of a game was unreal. The NBA hit both with fine, but no suspensions because, let's be real, the league wasn't about to sit its biggest star. The fight didn't ruin their legacy, but it added a gritty chapter. It showed even the coolest legends can lose it when pride is on the line. For Bird, it was another moment in his book of trash talk greatness. And for Dr. J, it was a reminder that even the doctor could snap when pushed too far. This wasn't just a fight, it was history. Two Hall of Famers in their prime, throwing hands in front of a packed crowd, adding fuel to one of the best rivalries the NBA has ever seen. And that's why it remains one of the craziest fights in NBA history. It's a reminder that the legends we idolize weren't just skill. They were fiery competitors who would throw down if you disrespected them.
Kobe versus Chris Childs, the two-piece. If you think Kobe Bryant never caught hands, let me take you back to one of the wildest blink and you'll miss it moments in NBA fights history. April 2, 2000, Lakers versus Knicks. Kobe was young, fearless, and already talking spicy to everyone, including Chris Childs, a gritty Knicks guard who wasn't about to let a young star punk him on national TV. All game, Kobe and Childs were jawing, elbowing, and bumping. At one point, Kobe swings an elbow while trying to get open, and Childs isn't having it. He steps up, gets in Kobe's face, and you can see Kobe tilt his head like, "What you gonna do?" Childs answered. He swung, connecting a quick two-piece right on Kobe's chin, sending the young Mamba stumbling back before players and refs jumped in to break it up. It was quick, but it was clean. The crowd went crazy, and the replay played on ESPN for weeks. Both got ejected, and the league hit them with fines and suspensions. But what made this fight legendary is that it showed Kobe's mentality. Most players would have avoided that smoke, but Kobe was ready to stand there, chest out, even if it meant catching a two-piece. Years later, even Childs admitted he respected Kobe's fearlessness, saying he wasn't scared. And Kobe? He didn't back down from anyone, ever. It became part of the Mamba legend. This fight might have been short, but it's one of the craziest in NBA history because it showed the league wasn't all highlight reels and smiles. It was about pride, and sometimes pride gets you punched in the face. And let's be honest, every fan loves a reminder that even the biggest stars are human, and sometimes the heat of the moment can turn a regular game into an unforgettable moment.
It's Michael Jordan versus Reggie Miller, Air versus Trash Talk King. You want to talk about two legends who couldn't stand each other? Let's talk Michael Jordan versus Reggie Miller, a beef that exploded into one of the wildest on-court fights of the 90s. March 20th, 1993. Bulls versus Pacers. Reggie Miller was known for his elite trash talk, never backing down, even from the GOAT himself. MJ, on the other hand, wasn't about to let anyone disrespect him on the court. The game was physical, with Miller and MJ going back and forth all night, bumping, shoving, and jawing. Midway through the game, MJ felt Reggie push him on a rebound, and MJ shoved him right back. Next thing you know, MJ swung at Reggie, and they both went down in a tangle as players and coaches sprinted in to break it up. The crowd went crazy. MJ, the untouchable superstar, throwing a punch, it was rare, but it showed how Reggie could get under anyone's skin, even Jordan's. Both were ejected, and MJ was hit with a fine, but the bad blood didn't end there. Every time the Bulls and Pacers faced off, the tension was there, especially during the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals when Miller hit that clutch three and gave MJ a shove to get open, adding fuel to the fire. But here's the thing, this wasn't just a fight, it was two competitors refusing to back down. MJ respected Reggie for not folding, and Reggie knew he had to bring that energy to survive in a league ruled by Jordan. It also reminded fans that even the calmest superstars can lose it when you push the right buttons. And Reggie, he was the master at finding those buttons. This moment remains one of the craziest fights in NBA history, not because it was the biggest brawl, but because it was MJ himself, the guy everyone respected, throwing hands to protect his pride against a trash-talking sharpshooter who didn't care who you were. LeBron James versus Isaiah Stewart, the bloody elbow. Most folks think LeBron James avoids on-court drama, but in 2021, he found himself in one of the craziest modern NBA fights when Isaiah Stewart decided he wasn't letting it slide. November 21, 2021, Lakers versus Pistons. During a free throw box out, LeBron swings his arm to clear space and catches Stewart square in the face with an elbow. Immediately, blood starts pouring from Stewart's eye and he sees red, literally and figuratively. At first, Stewart looks like he's keeping it cool, but then he snaps. Dude turns into a full-on bulldozer, trying to get at LeBron while coaches, teammates, and security try to hold him back. Stewart breaks free multiple times, sprinting down the court, shoving grown men out of the way, looking like a linebacker on a mission. LeBron, meanwhile, is standing back, palms up like, I didn't mean it.
but Stewart isn't hearing it. The scene is absolute chaos, and for a moment, it looked like Stewart was about to get to LeBron, and we'd witness an all-out brawl on national TV. It took several minutes and a whole squad of security to finally get Stewart off the floor and into the tunnel, where he tried to sprint around the back to get to the Lakers' locker room. That's how mad he was. The NBA suspended LeBron for 1 game, only the second suspension of his career, and Stewart for 2 games. Fans debated if it was intentional or not, but what was clear is that Stewart wasn't scared of the moment or the superstar in front of him. This fight was wild, not because of punches thrown, but because of the pure chaos and raw emotion it brought to the game. It showed that even in today's NBA, where fights are rare, things can still get real when someone feels disrespected. And let's be honest, fans will never forget the image of Isaiah Stewart, with blood streaming down his face, fighting through dozens of people, trying to get to LeBron, proving that the energy in the NBA can still flip in an instant.
Alonzo Mourning versus Larry Johnson, the petty punch fest. Some NBA fights are fueled by real hate, and this one, it was all personal. April 30th, 1998, Game 4, Heat versus Knicks in the playoffs. One of the grimiest rivalries ever. You had Alonzo Mourning on the Heat, a shot-blocking, trash-talking big man, and Larry Johnson on the Knicks, an undersized but fearless power forward. These dudes had history dating back to their days as teammates in Charlotte, and it was clear they weren't sending Christmas cards to each other. With 1.9 seconds left in a tight playoff game, a foul turned into some pushing, and then, boom, Mourning and Johnson square up, throwing wild punches that barely connect while grabbing each other's jerseys. It wasn't the cleanest fight, but it was hilarious. You could see the hate in their eyes as they tried to land punches while stumbling around. Then, out of nowhere, Knicks coach Jeff Van Gundy jumps in, grabbing onto Mourning's leg, getting dragged across the floor like a little brother trying to break up a fight between 2 uncles at a barbecue. The scene was chaos, players and coaches trying to separate them, the crowd going crazy, and Van Gundy hanging onto Zoe's leg for dear life as the camera zoomed in. The NBA handed out suspensions, with both Mourning and Johnson getting 2 games each, impacting the series and continuing the bitter rivalry between the Knicks and Heat. What makes this fight one of the craziest in NBA history isn't just the punches thrown, but the pettiness behind it. 2 grown men with a long-standing beef willing to throw hands with the playoffs on the line, and their coach looking like a toddler being dragged across the court trying to stop it. And the image of Jeff Van Gundy hanging onto Alonzo Mourning's leg, one of the most legendary visuals in NBA history.
Rondo versus Chris Paul, the spit and swing incident. If you need proof that NBA beef can turn physical fast, look no further than when Rajon Rondo and Chris Paul decided to throw hands mid-game in front of a packed Staples Center. October 20, 2018, Rockets versus Lakers. It's LeBron's first season in LA. The lights are bright, and tensions are already high between these 2 squads. Rondo and CP3, they've never liked each other. The rivalry was quiet for years until it finally exploded. It all started after Brandon Ingram shoved James Harden, getting in his face, and as the refs tried to break it up, Rondo and CP3 started jawing. Then, CP3 pokes Rondo in the face, and Rondo immediately fires back with a quick left hook, catching CP3 on the chin. Chris Paul responds with an uppercut, and the 2 are swinging at each other, connecting clean shots before players and coaches rush in to pull them apart. Brandon Ingram, meanwhile, comes flying back into the scene, throwing a punch from the side, turning the scuffle into a full-blown brawl. Fans were stunned. It's rare to see punches land that clean in an NBA fight, but Rondo and CP3 weren't just shoving, they were really fighting. Later, it came out that Rondo allegedly spit on Chris Paul before the fight, which CP3 claimed was why he poked him in the face. Rondo denied it, saying it was accidental, but the cameras showed a spit particle that might have flown, making it one of the pettiest and most chaotic beefs in recent NBA memory. The NBA dropped suspensions quickly. Ingram got 4 games, Rondo 3, and CP3 2. But the beef didn't end there. Years later, Rondo and CP3 still throw shade at each other in interviews, proving that sometimes NBA beef never dies. This fight was one of the craziest in NBA history, not just because of the punches thrown, but because it was 2 star point guards with real beef, letting the world see what happens when pride and ego clash under the bright lights. Rick Fox versus Doug Christie, the tunnel, round 2.
You know, most NBA fights end once players get separated, but this one, it kept going in the tunnel. October 2002, Lakers versus Kings, preseason, but the tension was real because these teams hated each other. The Lakers had been knocking the Kings out of the playoffs, and Sacramento felt cheated after that infamous 2002 Western Conference Final. During the game, Rick Fox of the Lakers fouls Doug Christie of the Kings. Christie doesn't like it and pops Fox with an uppercut to the jaw. Fox, not one to back down, throws a punch right back, and the two start brawling as players and refs try to pull them apart. Normally, that would be it, but nah. As both get ejected and head back to the locker rooms, Fox waits for Christie in the tunnel. As Christie is walking through, Fox jumps, and the fight continues with players, security, and even family members trying to break it up. It was so wild that even Christie's wife Jackie got involved, reportedly throwing punches to protect her man while security scrambled to separate everyone. The NBA came down with fines and suspensions, but this fight became legendary because it showed how deep the bad blood ran between the Lakers and Kings. This wasn't just a scuffle, it was personal, spilling off the court and into the tunnels. The fight added even more heat to the Lakers-Kings rivalry, which was already one of the most intense in NBA history. Every game between them after felt like it could pop off at any moment. What makes this one of the craziest fights in NBA history is simple. Most beefs end when the refs step in, but this one, it needed tunnel security because pride and tension couldn't be contained by the whistle.
Marcus Camby versus Danny Ferry, the punch that missed. Some NBA fights are chaos, but this one, it turned into one of the wildest blooper fights ever. January 2001, Knicks versus Spurs. The game's physical, like the early 2000s always were, and Marcus Camby is battling for position with Danny Ferry. Ferry elbows Camby in the face during a rebound battle, and Camby is heated. He snaps, charges at Ferry, ready to throw hands and swings a huge punch. But here's where it gets crazy. Camby's punch misses Ferry entirely and connects with his own teammate, Jeff Van Gundy, who is trying to hold Camby back. Van Gundy, who's like 5'8" standing next to Camby, catches the full force of the punch right in the face, instantly dropping to the floor while chaos erupts around him. Camby gets pulled back. Van Gundy's glasses go flying, and the crowd is stunned watching the coach take the biggest hit of the night. The NBA hit Camby with a 5-game suspension and a $25,000 fine, while Ferry got suspended for 1 game for the elbow that started it all. This fight is one of the craziest in NBA history, not because of who got punched, but because of who accidentally got punched. Van Gundy, the head coach, taking a full swing from his own player while trying to keep the peace, legendary. It became a meme before memes were even a thing, and to this day, every NBA fan who remembers knows that clip of Van Gundy getting clocked while trying to break up a fight. And it's a reminder that in the NBA, sometimes the wildest moments happen, not in the planned plays, but in the chaos when tempers flare and punches fly in the wrong direction.
Conclusion. Why NBA fights will always be part of the game. After all these stories, from the Malice at the Palace to Draymond versus Poole, from Bird and Dr. J to LeBron versus Stewart, one thing is clear. NBA fights will always be part of the game, no matter how many fines,
suspensions, or image cleanups the league does. When you put grown men, egos, pride, and millions of dollars on the line, tempers will boil over. Sometimes it's over a hard foul, sometimes it's trash talk, and sometimes it's a petty beef that's been simmering for years. And let's be real, fans eat it up. These moments live forever because they remind us the NBA isn't just highlights and stat lines. It's emotion, pride, and passion spilling over in the heat of the moment. The league might want you to forget some of these fights, but real hoop heads know these moments are as much a part of NBA history as game winners and championships. Before we wrap this up, if you made it to the end of this ride, drop a treeps in the comments so Unc knows you're a real one. And if you want more stories like these, crazy trades, untold beefs, hidden scandals, make sure you hit that like and sub so we can keep running it back.